Hey guys, I'm Eddy the Ethics Dinosaur, and I'm here today to talk to you about national identity cards and ethics. It's going to be fun! Let's start off. A national ID card is an identity document distributed by the federal government for the use of verifying the identity of the user. The latest program to try and get passed in Congress is the BELIEVE program, short for Biometric Enrollment, Locally Stored Information, and Electronic Verification of Employment. That sounds like fun! However, there has been lots of opposition in Congress against this movement towards using a national ID card. Many people say it's unethical and could lead to a Big Brother 1984 kind of situation. How about we go and break down the BELIEVE program into its fundamental parts and look at them one at a time? The central tenet of the BELIEVE program is the institution of a national ID card. It would be issued by the national government, in this case by the Social Security Agency, and be distributed to all eligible adults in America. Now, some people who oppose the program say that we already have ID cards and don't need another kind. One of the problems, though, is that none of the IDs we use today were designed to serve as identity documents and therefore aren't very good for that purpose. Social Security cards were originally distributed only to ensure reporting of payroll contributions for Social Security benefits. They only became a de facto ID card in the 1970s when universities wanted an easy, nationally assigned method of identifying applicants, and Social Security cards were the only choice. Since then, their popularity as an ID has exploded with different organizations and governmental agencies. But there are some big problems with them. They don't carry any other information such as photograph to tie the holder to the card, and they're printed on easily forged paper. Driver's licenses aren't that much better though, you guys. The issuing of driver's licenses are left up to individual states, and their use and security features are greatly inconsistent across the country. Some states have easily forged licenses, looking at you, Delaware, while other states use microprint, images revealed only under blacklight, 3D holograms, and barcodes or microchips that can be scanned and read by computers. New Jersey. This would be all cool if states with good licenses, like New Jersey, didn't have to accept licenses from bad states, too. That circumvents all the preventative technology, you guys! Congress tried to enforce a standard for driver's licenses through the Real ID program in 2005, but more than half of all states passed motions of noncompliance. That's crazy, you guys! Passports are identity documents that are distributed by the federal government and feature many security measurements, but fewer than 40% of Americans ever obtain one, and virtually nobody carries their passports around on a daily basis for other uses than leaving the country. To be fair, though, there have been ethical concerns with national ID cards in the past. The United Kingdom tried to set up a national ID card program in 2007. The ID card was going to be used for getting into government buildings as well as receiving government services. The time and location of these card swipes were going to be recorded on multiple servers all around the nation. The problem, though, was the government was going to hire private contractors to handle the storage of the data. Most people weren't cool with entrusting that kind of information in the hands of private companies, and the entire program was scrapped in 2010. There were also issues with Malaysia's national ID card program. Cardholders were required to indicate their religion on their card, which led to discrimination and violence against non-Muslims. This problem is simple to circumvent, though. If we only use physical or biometric data about the person holding the card, and not personal information like religion, the cards can't be used for discrimination. Some nations have done well with national ID cards, though. In May of 2007, India instituted its multi-purpose national identity card in order to improve the citizen government interface. The card is issued to all residents over 18 and includes a 16-digit personal identification code as well as 15 other personal details, including digital copies of the holder's signature and fingerprints. The program succeeded in its pilot programs in the capital, and that's in a nation with 1.2 billion people, you guys! The second tenet of the BELIEVE program is the use of biometric data on the cards. That's biometric, not bionic, Awesomesaurus. Biometric data is any data about the physiology of the holder and could include fingerprints, information about height, weight, hair color, and even, in theory, iris scans. This one is simple, you guys! The more forms of biometric data that you have on an ID, the harder it is to forge. Biometric data, while it can be discovered and recorded, cannot be faked. Biometric data is unique to every individual and, most importantly, can be asked to be confirmed on the spot with a cardholder. If a governmental official believes that the card doesn't belong to the person holding it, he can ask him to verify the biometric identity on the card by taking an iris or fingerprint scan right then and there. Some opponents say that the more information on the card is just more information that can be stolen. But it is not the digitally stored biometric data that is used as the form of identification, but the physical possession of the card itself. The digital fingerprints and scans cannot be used on their own as identification. An identity thief, even if he manages to break the encryption on the card, cannot use any copy data on the internet or anywhere else to verify his ID. The cardholder must physically have the ID card itself. The biometric data only serves to verify that the holder of the card is actually the person on the card. The final component of the Believe program is the EVE part of the name. EVE stands for Electronic Verification of Employment. In this part of the program, people applying for jobs would have to present their Believe card in order to be hired. Now guys, this is done with good intent. This is to stop illegal immigrants from taking jobs away from American citizens. The United States government does have a responsibility to protect American jobs, and this probably would work better than a giant fence. However, when investigating the ethics in this situation, we have to look at the impact it would have on the lives of American citizens. One of the founding principles that our nation was founded on was the ability for a citizen to go out on their own and make a living to support himself and his family. Placing a restriction, then, that makes it more difficult for a citizen to go out and get a job conflicts with the American ideals of industry and self-betterment. The ability for an American to go out and earn his wage or food shouldn't be impeded by governmental measures, despite their size. So, to wrap things up, let's look back on the ethical implications of the Believe program. A national ID card could standardize identity verification measures across the nation. That's a good question, Quentin, the questioning dinosaur. The federal government has exponentially more money and experience that they can use towards the establishment of a secure identity card than nearly any state, especially the less populated ones. We also found out that using biometric data makes the card harder to forge and therefore a better ID card. Well, even if a criminal was able to break the encryption on the card, he still couldn't use the information unless he could duplicate it in person with the biometric scan. That's why... Yeah, Quentin, I'm sure it'll still work. As I was saying... Quentin! As we saw, though, even though these advances in identity verification technology could serve to protect American citizens, the card could be used for purposes that would be considered as conflicting with traditional rights and ideals of Americans. The government has a responsibility to ensure that the identity documents it distributes cannot easily be used to steal the identity of its citizens. At the same time, it cannot conflict with their rights. Perhaps the key is to establish a better form of ID, but restrict its uses. There's no need to create new reasons to use an ID card. It could simply replace older documents in the same capacity that they fill today, such as for boarding airplanes, filling out government forms, or verifying age at bars and clubs. That way, Americans get better security and don't have to worry about a totalitarian government tracking their every move. Doesn't make a big difference to me, though. I'm Canadian. Because I only had one voice actor.